Michael woke up that morning feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. He had a busy week at the hospital, caring for patients through long shifts, and now he was also dealing with his sick father at home. His 6-year-old twin daughters, Lily and Rose, were still fast asleep in their room, their soft breathing carrying a rhythm that brought a brief smile to his tired face. Despite his exhaustion, he knew today would be different. Today, the girls had been looking forward to something special. Michael worked as a nurse in one of the busiest hospitals in the city. He loved his job, but it was not easy managing long hours while raising 2 young children on his own. His wife had passed away a few years ago, leaving him with the twin girls. From morning till night, Michael juggled hospital rounds, paperwork, and endless calls from teachers and relatives checking on the girls. Yet he never let his children feel that the world was heavy on their small shoulders. He always made time to laugh with them, read bedtime stories, and answer their never-ending questions about life, the universe, and everything in between. That morning, Michael had planned a surprise visit for the girls to the hospital's CEO, Ms. Harper. Ms. Harper occasionally invited children to the hospital for small events, introducing them to the work staff did, and showing them that hospitals could be warm and friendly, not just full of white coats and machines. The twins had been looking forward to meeting her for weeks, and Michael had promised them that he would accompany them. But fate had other plans. His father fell ill suddenly, and Michael had to stay behind to care for him. His daughter's excitement worried him. He did not want to disappoint them. Lily and Rose were the type of children who noticed everything. Their eyes sparkled with curiosity, and their tiny hands were always busy making little projects or holding on to whatever trinket had caught their attention that day. When Michael explained the situation, that they couldn't go to the CEO's office today, they looked at each other for a brief moment. Then, with that determination only children could have, they said they would go instead. Michael was taken aback. He hesitated, unsure if it was safe for them to navigate the hospital alone, even for a short visit. But the girls insisted. They were dressed in their favorite dresses, their hair tied in neat pigtails, and they held small handmade cards and a bag of cookies they had baked themselves. Michael sighed but saw the fire of courage in their eyes. He knelt down and looked into their faces. "Are you sure you can do this by yourselves?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm, though worry gnawed at him. Lily nodded quickly. Rose held the bag of cookies tighter. "We'll be careful, Daddy. We just want to give our cards and cookies to Ms. Harper," Lily said, her voice full of resolve. Michael smiled weakly, ruffling their hair. He couldn't deny their determination. "Okay," he said finally. "But promise me you'll stay together and follow the rules. No wandering off, and don't talk to strangers." The girls hugged him tightly. "We promise, Daddy." After making sure they had everything they needed, Michael watched as his little girls walked toward the hospital elevator, holding hands like they were venturing into a grand adventure. He felt a mix of pride and anxiety. Pride for their courage and independence, anxiety because the hospital could be intimidating, even for adults. But deep down, he knew this experience would teach them something valuable about kindness, courage, and human connection. The hospital corridors were busy as usual. Nurses rushed from room to room, doctors hurriedly discussed patients, and visitors wandered, some looking lost, others distracted. Lily and Rose walked slowly, careful not to bump into anyone, but with that natural curiosity that made them glance at everything around them. They admired the colorful posters on the walls, waved politely at passing nurses, and whispered excitedly to each other about the day ahead. They didn't feel small or insignificant. They felt like adventurers carrying an important mission. Finally, they reached the CEO's floor. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding, and the twins stepped out, their little hearts beating faster. They had seen Ms. Harper from afar before, always busy in meetings or greeting small groups, but now they were about to meet her personally. They clutched their handmade cards tightly and adjusted the bag of cookies as if it were treasure. Walking down the polished hallway, they could see Ms. Harper's office doors at the end. They hesitated for a moment, exchanging glances. Was this the right place? Should they knock? Michael's words echoed in their minds. Stay together, be brave, and polite. They reached the office and took a deep breath. Lily gently pushed the door and it opened with a soft click. Inside, Ms. Harper looked up from her paperwork, her eyes widening slightly at the sight of two little girls standing in her office, dressed neatly and holding a small bag and cards. For a moment she was silent, unsure what to say or do. It was not every day that two 6-year-old children walked into her office unannounced. "Hello?" Lily said softly, stepping forward, her voice polite and clear. "Our dad is sick today, so we came instead." She handed over one of the cards. Rose followed, placing the bag of cookies gently on the desk. Ms. Harper blinked, taking in the sincerity and bravery in front of her. She could see that these were no ordinary children. They had come with a purpose, carrying love and care from their father. Ms. Harper knelt slightly to meet their eyes. "Well, hello there," she said warmly. "You came all this way for your dad? That is very thoughtful." The twins nodded, shy but proud. They began to explain that their dad had promised them a special visit, and since he was busy taking care of their grandfather, they decided to bring the gifts themselves. They spoke about how much they loved him, how they wanted to make him proud, and how much fun they had making the cookies. Ms. Harper listened carefully, her stern demeanor softening with every word. The way these children talked about their father made her reflect on the people she worked with every day. Nurses, doctors, staff, they were all individuals with families, hopes, and struggles. And here were two little girls reminding her of the simple, pure ways humans could connect, care, and support each other. She felt a lump in her throat, realizing she had never fully appreciated this human side amidst her busy executive life. The twins giggled softly as they explained how their dad always helped patients feel better, even on hard days, and how he told them to always be kind and brave. Miss Harper smiled, touched by their words. She reached out and gently took one of their small hands. "You both are very brave and you have a big heart. Your dad must be very proud of you." Lily and Rose beamed, feeling the warmth of acknowledgement from someone so important. As the girls continued to share little stories, Ms. Harper felt something shift inside her. She realized that leadership wasn't just about making big decisions or running meetings. It was also about noticing the small gestures, the kindness, and the courage that often went unnoticed. These girls had reminded her of that in the most unexpected way. The office, once filled with paperwork and schedules, now felt alive with stories, laughter, and sincerity. The twins' presence had transformed it into a space of human connection and warmth. Finally, after sharing their stories and gifts, the girls were ready to leave. Ms. Harper knelt down again, this time giving them each a small hug. "Thank you for coming today. You've made me see things in a new way," she said softly. Lily and Rose waved goodbye, feeling proud and happy. They walked back down the hallway, still holding hands, their hearts full of accomplishment. Back home, Michael was pacing when the girls returned. He looked worried, but his worry melted into relief and amazement when he saw their smiling faces and the little sparkle in their eyes. They told him everything: the office, Ms. Harper's warm smile, and how she had listened to them. Michael hugged them tightly, realizing that their small act of courage had not only made their father proud but had also created a ripple of warmth in the hospital. The twins had learned a valuable lesson that day. Kindness, bravery, and love could touch even the busiest hearts, and sometimes the smallest gestures had the biggest impact. The twins, Lily and Rose, were still buzzing with excitement when they stepped into the CEO's office. They had barely caught their breath from walking down the long, polished hallway when they saw Ms. Harper's face turn from surprise to warmth. She had been busy with her morning meetings, her desk scattered with papers and a laptop open with emails, but the sudden appearance of the two little girls immediately pulled her attention away from the work that always seemed endless. Lily took a small step forward, holding the handmade card carefully in her tiny hands. Rose followed, carrying the bag of cookies they had baked the night before. The aroma of the cookies was faint but unmistakable, a mixture of vanilla and chocolate that immediately brought a smile to Ms. Harper's face. She motioned for them to come closer, her voice gentle and inviting, a stark contrast to her usual firm tone. The girls explained that their dad was sick and could not come to the office today. They had promised to deliver the cards and cookies to Ms. Harper on his behalf. As they spoke, their small voices filled the office with sincerity and innocence. Ms. Harper listened closely, kneeling down to their level so she could meet their eyes and show that she was truly paying attention. The gesture made the twins feel important, as if their words and efforts mattered in a way they had never experienced before. Once they had explained their mission, Ms. Harper took a moment to look at the cards. Each card was decorated with colorful drawings, hearts, and little stick figures. The messages inside were simple yet heartfelt. One read, "Thank you for helping everyone, Ms. Harper," while another said, "Our dad is our hero, and you make him happy too." She could feel the genuine effort that went into every line, and she was moved by the thoughtfulness of these tiny humans who had come all this way to deliver their love and gratitude. Ms. Harper smiled and complimented them on their creativity and courage. She asked them how they had made the cookies, and the girls excitedly explained the process, describing how they had measured the flour and sugar carefully, cracked the eggs with concentration, and even sneaked little chocolate chips into the dough. Ms. Harper laughed softly at their animated storytelling, enjoying the way their faces lit up when they spoke about their accomplishments. Curious, she asked the twins about their father and what he did at the hospital. Lily and Rose eagerly shared stories about Michael, telling her about how he always made patients feel comfortable, even on the hardest days. They spoke about how he would sing songs to calm children, tell jokes to make people laugh, and hold hands when someone was afraid. Ms. Harper listened intently, amazed at the depth of respect and admiration these young children had for their father. She realized that sometimes the most valuable insight came from those who saw the world with fresh, untainted eyes. As the conversation continued, the office began to feel less like a place of work and more like a space of connection. The twins shared funny anecdotes about their father's clumsy moments, like the time he tripped over a cord while carrying a tray of medical supplies or when he accidentally wore mismatched socks to work. Ms. Harper chuckled, appreciating the human side of the staff she managed. She had always been focused on efficiency, targets, and reports, often forgetting the personal stories that made the hospital more than just a workplace. Seeing the girls' excitement and the care in their eyes, Ms. Harper decided to make the experience memorable. She asked if they wanted to sit down and watch her work for a little while, explaining in simple words what she did as the CEO. Lily and Rose eagerly agreed, sitting cross-legged on the floor near the desk. She showed them her calendar, explained how she planned meetings, and described how she made decisions to help the hospital run smoothly. The twins listened intently, asking thoughtful questions that made Ms. Harper pause and consider her answers carefully. Their curiosity reminded her of her own children when they were young, full of wonder and questions about everything. During the discussion, the girls mentioned how their dad often stayed late at the hospital to help patients, even when he was tired. Ms. Harper nodded, impressed by his dedication. She could see the pride in their eyes as they spoke about their father, and it made her reflect on the human stories behind every employee she oversaw. The twins' words were a gentle reminder that every staff member had responsibilities, challenges, and lives outside the hospital walls. It was not just about efficiency and outcomes. It was about people, families, and the small acts of kindness that kept the hospital alive with compassion. Ms. Harper then suggested a small activity. She gave them each a blank sheet of paper and some colored pencils, asking them to draw their favorite memory with their dad at the hospital. The twins eagerly complied, their hands moving quickly as they sketched scenes of their father helping patients, reading bedtime stories at home, and baking with them in the kitchen. Ms. Harper watched silently, feeling a sense of joy and wonder. She realized that these simple moments captured more meaning than any report or statistic ever could. While the girls were drawing, Ms. Harper shared stories of her own childhood and how she had learned the importance of kindness and empathy from her parents. The twins listened closely, fascinated by the tales of her family and the lessons she had learned. This exchange of stories created a bond, a connection that transcended age, roles, and positions. For a brief moment, the office became a place of learning, sharing, and mutual respect. As the morning passed, the twins completed their drawings and handed them to Ms. Harper. Each illustration was unique, full of color and emotion, reflecting their love for their father and the values he had instilled in them. Ms. Harper felt a surge of gratitude and warmth. She knew she had witnessed something special, a moment that would stay with her for a long time. She carefully placed the drawings on her desk, making a mental note to display them in a prominent place to remind herself of the impact of simple, genuine gestures. Before the twins left, Ms. Harper took a moment to thank them again. She praised their courage, their kindness, and their thoughtfulness. She explained that their small act of delivering cards and cookies had made a big difference, not just to her but to the entire atmosphere of the hospital. The girls beamed with pride, understanding that they had contributed something meaningful. They realized that even small actions done with love and sincerity could touch hearts and inspire others. As Lily and Rose walked back to the elevator, Ms. Harper waved goodbye, feeling a mixture of admiration and inspiration. She reflected on the importance of recognizing the humanity in everyone around her and vowed to carry that lesson into her leadership. The girls' visit had reminded her that true impact often came from compassion, understanding, and personal connection rather than mere management and oversight. When the twins returned home, Michael was waiting anxiously. Their eyes sparkled as they recounted every detail of their visit, from meeting Ms. Harper to showing their drawings and sharing stories about their father. Michael listened, amazed by their bravery and the positive energy they brought back. He hugged them tightly, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. The twins had stepped into an adult world with courage, kindness, and confidence, leaving a mark that would ripple far beyond what they could see. That evening, Michael reflected on the day. He realized that his daughters had taught him a valuable lesson as well. Courage and compassion were not limited by age, and even the smallest gestures could create meaningful change. He felt grateful for their innocence, their bravery, and their unwavering love, knowing that these qualities would shape them into remarkable individuals in the years to come. After the girls had returned home with their father, Ms. Harper couldn't stop thinking about their visit. She sat in her office looking at the cards and drawings they had left behind. The colorful pictures and the heartfelt messages were simple, yet they conveyed a purity and honesty that made her heart feel unexpectedly light. She realized how much she had been caught up in meetings, budgets, and policies, and how little attention she had paid to the human side of her role. The visit of Lily and Rose had reminded her of something she had forgotten: the importance of compassion, understanding, and personal connection in leadership. Ms. Harper spent the next few hours reflecting on what the twins had said about their father. They had described him with such admiration and love that she felt inspired to do something meaningful, not just for him, but for all employees who worked tirelessly to care for others. She began thinking about ways to recognize the dedication and humanity of her staff, realizing that even small gestures could create a positive atmosphere and motivate people in ways that formal recognition or policies often could not. Meanwhile, at home, Michael was winding down after a long day. He watched Lily and Rose play quietly, still recreating parts of their visit in imaginative games. They talked about the CEO, how she had listened to them, and how it had made them feel special. Michael smiled, realizing that their adventure had given them confidence and a sense of pride. He could see that their understanding of kindness and empathy had deepened. They had witnessed firsthand how small acts of thoughtfulness could impact adults in profound ways. The next morning, Michael received a phone call from the hospital. To his surprise, it was Ms. Harper herself. She wanted to speak with him directly. He answered, slightly nervous, wondering if there had been any problem with the girls' visit. Instead, Ms. Harper spoke warmly, expressing her gratitude for their thoughtful gesture. She explained that the twins' visit had inspired her to implement a small initiative at the hospital, a way to acknowledge the efforts of staff who went above and beyond, not just in their professional duties, but in showing care, kindness, and compassion to patients and families. Michael felt a surge of pride and gratitude. He thanked her, feeling touched that the actions of his young daughters had influenced someone in such a powerful position. The conversation was brief but meaningful. Ms. Harper promised to keep him informed about the initiative and assured him that the hospital staff would benefit from it. Michael hung up the phone, feeling that the small adventure of the twins had grown into something much larger than he had anticipated. Over the following days, Ms. Harper began taking steps to create a more human-centered environment at the hospital. She held informal meetings with department heads, encouraging them to recognize and celebrate small acts of kindness among staff. She shared the story of Lily and Rose's visit, emphasizing the lesson that sometimes the simplest gestures could leave the biggest impact. Employees were encouraged to submit stories of colleagues who demonstrated empathy, patience, or extra care for patients and families. Ms. Harper's office became a place not just for administrative work, but for celebrating human connections. Lily and Rose, unaware of the ripple effect they had started, continued their daily routines with their father. They went to school, played in the park, and helped Michael around the house. However, they noticed subtle changes at the hospital. When Michael returned from work, he spoke more about the positive energy among his colleagues and the encouragement he received from supervisors. He shared stories about how staff members were being recognized for their thoughtfulness, how patients and families were expressing gratitude more openly, and how morale seemed higher than before. The twins felt proud, realizing that their small act had contributed to a larger wave of kindness and recognition. Ms. Harper also began reflecting on her personal leadership style. She realized that she had often prioritized efficiency and results over relationships and empathy. She started setting aside time to personally interact with staff, listening to their concerns and acknowledging their efforts. She implemented small but meaningful gestures like handwritten notes of appreciation, flexible schedules for employees with family needs, and regular informal gatherings to share stories and experiences. Her approach transformed the culture of the hospital, making it feel warmer and more connected. Michael noticed these changes firsthand. Staff members seemed happier, patients felt more cared for, and the hospital atmosphere was lighter and more welcoming. He was amazed at how something as simple as two little girls delivering cards and cookies had initiated a shift in the entire organization. He shared the story with Lily and Rose, explaining how their actions had inspired Ms. Harper to make changes that helped so many people. The twins listened with wide eyes, feeling proud and excited that their small gesture had created such a positive impact. The experience also strengthened the bond between Michael and his daughters. They spent more time together talking about kindness, courage, and the importance of helping others. Michael encouraged them to continue showing empathy and thoughtfulness in their daily lives, explaining that even small acts could ripple outward and affect many people. The girls absorbed these lessons naturally, their actions guided by the simple principle of caring for others with sincerity. As weeks passed, the hospital staff continued to share stories of compassion and support, many of which were inspired by the example of Michael and his daughters. Ms. Harper displayed the twins' drawings prominently in her office as a daily reminder of the impact of innocence and sincerity. The atmosphere of the hospital shifted gradually, becoming a place where kindness and empathy were celebrated alongside professional excellence. Through it all, Lily and Rose remained humble and joyful. They didn't fully understand the full extent of the changes they had inspired, but they felt a sense of pride and happiness knowing they had made a difference. Their father continued to support them, guiding them with love and teaching them the importance of staying kind, brave, and thoughtful. He knew that the lessons they had learned from this experience would stay with them for a lifetime, shaping their character and their interactions with the world. Ms. Harper, too, learned a valuable lesson about leadership and humanity. The visit of two small children had reminded her that true leadership involved not only strategic thinking and decision-making, but also listening, understanding, and recognizing the humanity in others. She carried this lesson into her daily work, creating a culture of empathy, respect, and appreciation that benefited employees, patients, and families alike. The story of Lily and Rose became quietly well known within the hospital, shared as an example of courage, kindness, and the power of small actions. It was a story that inspired staff to act with thoughtfulness and compassion, reminding everyone that even the youngest voices could make a meaningful impact. The twins had shown that bravery, love, and sincerity were not measured by age or size, but by the courage to act with a pure heart. In the end, the visit that had started as a simple act of delivering cards and cookies grew into a story of change, reflection, and human connection. It demonstrated that even the smallest gestures, when done with care and honesty, could inspire adults, influence organizations, and create lasting positive effects. Michael, Lily, and Rose continued their lives with the knowledge that kindness mattered, and that their love and courage had left a mark on the world around them, one heartfelt action at a time. As the days passed, the changes inspired by the twins' visit began to unfold more visibly throughout the hospital. Michael noticed small differences each day that, together, created a significant impact. The atmosphere was warmer, and there was a sense of genuine connection among staff and patients. Nurses smiled more often at one another. Doctors took extra time to listen to patients' concerns, and the small gestures of kindness that had once gone unnoticed were now being celebrated. Michael realized that the girls' courage and thoughtfulness had sparked something bigger than anyone could have imagined. Lily and Rose continued their usual routines, unaware of the ripple effect their visit had created. They went to school, played with friends, and helped their father at home. However, the energy in their household had subtly shifted. Michael seemed lighter, happier, and more eager to share stories about the hospital. He described how Ms. Harper had initiated programs to recognize staff for their kindness, how colleagues were supporting one another, and how patients expressed gratitude more openly. The twins listened with wide eyes, amazed that their simple act had touched so many people. One morning, Michael decided to take the twins on a small visit back to the hospital, just to show them how their actions had made a difference. They walked through the corridors, noticing the cheerful smiles on the faces of staff and the lightness in the atmosphere. Nurses waved, doctors nodded in acknowledgement, and even the security staff greeted them warmly. The girls felt a mixture of pride and happiness, understanding that their visit had contributed to this positive environment. Ms. Harper had asked to meet with them again, this time in a more relaxed setting. She wanted to personally thank them and explain the changes their visit had inspired. When Lily and Rose entered her office, they were met with a warm smile and a sense of calm authority. Ms. Harper explained that she had started a small program to recognize employees who showed exceptional care and empathy. She shared stories of staff members who had gone above and beyond, helping patients with kindness, and how these efforts were being celebrated throughout the hospital. The twins listened intently, absorbing every word. They were amazed that their simple gesture, delivering cards and cookies, had led to such meaningful outcomes. Ms. Harper showed them a bulletin board where staff shared stories of compassion, highlighting the positive impact of empathy and kindness in the hospital. The girls could see their influence in action, and it filled them with a sense of accomplishment and joy. After the meeting, the twins were invited to participate in a small event, where employees and their families shared experiences and celebrated acts of kindness. Lily and Rose were given the honor of presenting certificates to staff members who had been recognized for their compassion. They walked across the room with their small hands holding the certificates, their faces glowing with pride. Staff members clapped and smiled warmly, showing genuine appreciation for the twins' involvement. The girls felt a sense of responsibility and accomplishment, realizing that they were part of something meaningful. During the event, Michael watched his daughters interact with staff and patients, feeling proud and grateful. He observed how their innocence and thoughtfulness had brought people together, creating an atmosphere of connection and understanding. He realized that the impact of their visit extended beyond the hospital walls, inspiring a culture of empathy that would influence everyone who came into contact with the staff. Ms. Harper took a moment to address the attendees, sharing the story of Lily and Rose and their courageous visit. She emphasized that true leadership was not only about strategy and efficiency, but also about recognizing and nurturing humanity in others. Her words resonated with the audience, and the room filled with a sense of warmth and inspiration. Employees felt motivated to continue acts of kindness, knowing that even small gestures could create meaningful change. After the event, Ms. Harper invited the twins to her office again for a more personal moment. She thanked them sincerely, explaining how their actions had reminded her of the importance of empathy, compassion, and understanding in her role. She presented them with small gifts, books about kindness and leadership, as well as a personalized note expressing her gratitude. Lily and Rose were thrilled, not because of the gifts, but because of the recognition and the opportunity to see the positive impact of their actions. Back at home, Michael and the twins reflected on the day. They talked about the stories they had heard, the people they had met, and the ways in which small acts of kindness could ripple outward to touch countless lives. Michael encouraged the girls to continue being brave, thoughtful, and caring, reminding them that their actions, no matter how small, had the power to make a real difference in the world. Over the following weeks, the hospital culture continued to evolve. Staff members embraced the initiatives inspired by the twins, and the atmosphere became more collaborative and supportive. Patients and families noticed the difference, often commenting on the warmth, attention, and empathy they experienced. The ripple effect of kindness grew, creating a cycle of positive interactions that benefited everyone involved. Lily and Rose continued to learn and grow from the experience. They began thinking about how they could bring kindness and thoughtfulness into other areas of their lives. at school, in their neighborhood, and among friends. They shared stories with classmates, encouraging them to act with empathy and compassion. Their influence spread subtly, demonstrating that the lessons of courage, kindness, and sincerity were universal and could be applied in many contexts. Michael watched his daughters with admiration and pride. He realized that the simple act of delivering cards and cookies had transformed not only the hospital, but also their family dynamic. The experience had strengthened their bond, reinforced values of empathy and kindness, and shown them the power of courageous action. He felt grateful that his children had taken initiative, showing bravery and thoughtfulness beyond their years. Ms. Harper continued to implement and expand programs that emphasized human connection and empathy. She incorporated regular check-ins with staff to discuss personal experiences, created opportunities for families to engage with hospital activities, and encouraged storytelling as a means to share lessons and inspire action. The culture shift became more deeply embedded over time, creating a sustainable environment where kindness, respect, and understanding were prioritized alongside professional excellence. The story of Lily and Rose's visit became a lasting example within the hospital, shared in meetings, newsletters, and informal conversations. It served as a reminder that courage and kindness could come from anyone, regardless of age or status, and that small, thoughtful actions could influence leaders, inspire teams, and positively affect countless lives. The twins had demonstrated that even young voices, when guided by love and sincerity, could create meaningful change that reached far beyond what anyone could initially imagine. Through it all, the bond between Michael and his daughters remained at the center of the story. He continued to guide them, support them, and celebrate their efforts. The lessons they had learned about courage, empathy, and human connection became foundational principles that would shape their growth, interactions, and understanding of the world. The hospital, transformed by the ripple effect of their visit, became a living testament to the power of small acts of love and bravery, showing that even the tiniest gestures, when performed with a genuine heart, could create lasting, meaningful change. Time went by, and the small act of Lily and Rose walking into the CEO's office grew into something much bigger than anyone could have expected. The hospital continued to change, slowly at first, then more noticeably, as kindness and empathy became an essential part of daily life there. The staff began to approach their work with renewed energy, paying attention not only to the medical needs of patients, but also to their emotional well-being. Michael noticed these changes every day, and he felt a deep sense of pride knowing his daughters had played a part in inspiring them. The twins themselves continued to grow, learning lessons in courage, thoughtfulness, and human connection that would stay with them for life. They learned that even the smallest action, when performed with sincerity and care, could ripple out and make a meaningful difference. Their confidence grew as they saw the impact of their visit on the hospital, on their father, and on Ms. Harper. They understood that bravery did not always mean performing grand feats. Sometimes it meant speaking up, showing care, and stepping forward when others might hesitate. Michael also felt transformed by the experience. Watching his daughters act with courage and seeing the resulting changes in the hospital reminded him of the importance of nurturing kindness in others. He reflected on his own approach to work and life, realizing that small acts of consideration and empathy could bring people together, create a positive environment, and inspire others to act similarly. He started to incorporate these lessons into his interactions at work, fostering stronger connections with colleagues and encouraging them to value both professionalism and compassion. Ms. Harper continued to expand the programs she had initiated, using the story of the twins as a central example of how genuine, thoughtful action could inspire change. She encouraged staff to share stories of courage and empathy, and she made it clear that these qualities were just as important as clinical skills and efficiency. She held regular gatherings where employees and their families could come together, exchange experiences, and celebrate the positive impact of small, meaningful gestures. These events became highlights for the staff and helped create a sense of community and mutual support. One afternoon, the twins were invited back to the hospital for a special ceremony, recognizing the impact of their visit. They walked into the large room hand in hand and were greeted by applause from the staff and their families. Michael watched from the sidelines, filled with pride as the girls stepped forward to receive a small award for inspiring kindness and courage in the workplace. The room was filled with warmth, smiles, and gratitude. The ceremony was a reminder that even the youngest among us can leave an imprint on the lives of others. During the ceremony, Ms. Harper spoke about how the twins' actions had inspired a culture change within the hospital. She emphasized the importance of noticing small gestures, appreciating thoughtfulness, and acting with empathy. Her words resonated with everyone present, and the atmosphere was filled with a sense of hope and possibility. The twins listened quietly, understanding in a new way the value of their actions and the power they had to influence the world around them. After the event, the twins spent time exploring different departments in the hospital, meeting staff members and patients who had been affected by the new culture of empathy. They listened to stories of gratitude, shared laughter with nurses and doctors, and even helped deliver small gifts to patients. Michael watched them interact with people from all walks of life, feeling amazed at how naturally they connected with others and how their presence could brighten someone's day. The twins' experience also had a lasting impact on their school life. They shared their story with classmates, encouraging them to act with kindness and thoughtfulness in their own communities. Teachers noticed a change in the twins' confidence and maturity, and they were praised for demonstrating values that were beyond their years. Lily and Rose became role models for their peers, showing that courage and empathy were qualities that could inspire action, no matter how young someone was. At home, Michael continued to nurture these lessons. He encouraged the girls to reflect on their experiences, ask questions, and think about how they could continue spreading kindness in everyday life. He reminded them that being brave did not always mean facing danger, but often meant choosing to do what was right, helping others, and staying true to one's values. The girls listened attentively, internalizing these lessons and applying them in school, with friends, and in their interactions with neighbors. Ms. Harper also maintained contact with the family, inviting them to visit the hospital periodically to see how their influence continued to inspire change. The twins' story became a lasting part of the hospital's culture, shared with new employees, patients, and visitors as an example of the power of courage, sincerity, and thoughtful action. Staff members often spoke about how the twins had reminded them to look for the human side in every interaction, creating a ripple effect that extended beyond the walls of the hospital. As the years passed, the hospital maintained its commitment to empathy and kindness, embedding these values into training, policies, and everyday interactions. Michael continued his work, inspired by the lessons his daughters had taught him. Lily and Rose grew into compassionate, confident individuals, guided by the experiences of their childhood and the understanding that even small actions could lead to meaningful change. The story of the twins' visit, their courage in stepping forward when their father was unable to go, and the positive impact they created became a cherished tale, told and retold within the hospital and their community. It demonstrated that bravery, empathy, and thoughtfulness were not bound by age or position, and that genuine, heartfelt action could inspire change far beyond what anyone might imagine. In the end, the experience brought the family closer, strengthened the community within the hospital, and created a culture that valued human connection as much as professional excellence. Michael, Lily, and Rose continued their lives with the understanding that kindness, courage, and sincerity could ripple out to touch countless lives. Their story remained a testament to the enduring power of simple, thoughtful actions and the extraordinary impact that even the youngest voices could have on the world around them. Time had passed, and the influence of Lily and Rose's small act continued to resonate far beyond what anyone had imagined. The hospital had grown into a place where empathy, kindness, and personal connection were just as important as medical skill. Staff members actively sought ways to help each other and their patients in meaningful ways. Michael often noticed subtle but significant changes: a nurse staying late to comfort a patient who was scared, a doctor taking extra time to explain procedures, and support staff offering little gestures that brightened everyone's day. The twins' courageous visit had ignited a ripple effect of human-centered care that now permeated every corner of the hospital. Lily and Rose, now a little older, had begun to notice the continued impact of their actions. Their father shared stories from work that filled them with pride. They heard about patients who felt cared for in ways they had not experienced before, staff members who had been recognized for acts of compassion, and new programs inspired by their visit that encouraged teamwork and thoughtfulness. The girls realized that their small gesture had truly made a difference, and they felt a quiet sense of joy knowing that something they had done as children had left a lasting mark. One day, Michael received an invitation from Ms. Harper. She wanted him and the twins to attend a community event at the hospital, highlighting stories of courage and kindness among staff and families. Excited and proud, Michael brought Lily and Rose along. The event was larger than they had anticipated, with staff, families, and patients gathering to celebrate the human side of healthcare. The twins were welcomed warmly by everyone, and many staff members thanked them personally for the inspiration they had provided. During the event, Ms. Harper addressed the audience, sharing the story of Lily and Rose's visit in detail. She spoke about how the twins' thoughtful action had reminded her of the importance of empathy and compassion, leading to programs that encouraged these values across the hospital. Her words highlighted the significance of small acts, showing that even the youngest members of a community could inspire meaningful change. The audience listened intently, many visibly moved by the story and its lessons. After the speech, the twins were invited to participate in an interactive session where children and families could engage with hospital staff. Lily and Rose helped distribute care packages to patients, shared stories of kindness, and encouraged younger children to think about ways they could help others. They were energetic, curious, and confident, demonstrating how their early experience had shaped their understanding of empathy and responsibility. Michael watched with pride, feeling grateful for the opportunity his daughters had to grow in such a meaningful way. Ms. Harper took a moment to speak privately with Michael, expressing her ongoing appreciation for the twins' visit. She explained that the culture of the hospital had been transformed because of the reminder to value human connection and sincerity. Programs recognizing acts of kindness had become permanent, and staff members regularly shared stories of empathy and courage. She credited the twins for being the catalyst that had inspired these positive changes, emphasizing that the impact of thoughtful action could extend far beyond initial expectations. Lily and Rose also learned valuable lessons that day. They saw firsthand how collaboration, understanding, and thoughtful gestures could create a supportive environment. They realized that leadership wasn't just about holding a position or making decisions. It was about influencing others through care, empathy, and consistency. The twins understood that their own actions, though small and simple, had the power to encourage positive change and inspire others to follow suit. As the day progressed, the family visited different departments in the hospital, meeting patients and staff who had been positively affected by the twins' visit. They heard stories of patients who felt comforted, staff who felt appreciated, and families who had experienced the warmth of a compassionate environment. Lily and Rose were amazed at how far the influence of their simple act had spread. They began to understand the true meaning of impact, that even small, sincere gestures could reach far beyond what they could immediately see. Michael reflected on the journey his family had taken. He saw how his daughter's courage had created ripples that extended into the community, changing the hospital culture, inspiring staff, and affecting the lives of countless patients and families. He felt a deep sense of pride and gratitude, realizing that their experience had not only benefited the hospital, but also taught his daughters valuable life lessons about empathy, courage, and responsibility. Ms. Harper, too, continued to reflect on the impact of the twins' visit. She made it a priority to maintain a culture of empathy within the hospital, ensuring that human connection and kindness were valued alongside professional expertise. She continued to encourage staff to share stories of compassionate actions, creating an ongoing dialogue that reinforced the importance of caring for patients and colleagues alike. The story of Lily and Rose remained central to this initiative, a constant reminder that inspiration and change could come from the most unexpected sources. As months turned into years, Lily and Rose grew into thoughtful, empathetic individuals. Their experiences at the hospital had shaped their understanding of the world, teaching them that courage, kindness, and sincerity were qualities that could have a profound impact, no matter one's age. They continued to act with consideration and bravery, spreading positivity in school, their community, and at home. Their father nurtured these values, guiding them with love and encouraging them to see the significance of every action they took. The hospital continued to thrive as a place of compassion, where staff, patients, and families felt valued and supported. Programs inspired by the twins' visit became permanent fixtures, reinforcing a culture of empathy that touched countless lives. Ms. Harper often shared the story with new employees, emphasizing the importance of small gestures, courage, and thoughtfulness. The twins' influence had become a part of the hospital's identity, demonstrating the lasting power of genuine, heartfelt action. Michael, Lily, and Rose learned that life was full of opportunities to make a difference, no matter how small. They understood that acts of kindness and bravery could inspire others, create positive change, and leave a lasting legacy. The story of their visit, which began as a simple act to deliver cards and cookies, became a testament to the extraordinary impact of ordinary actions performed with love and sincerity. In the end, the family's journey reinforced the importance of courage, empathy, and connection. The twins had taught their father, the hospital staff, and even Ms. Harper that true influence came from the heart, and that meaningful change could start with a single thoughtful gesture. Their story continued to inspire those who heard it, reminding everyone that acts of kindness, no matter how small, had the power to create a better, more compassionate world. Michael, Lily, and Rose carried these lessons forward, knowing that their lives and the lives of those around them were richer for having chosen courage, love, and empathy in every moment.